We went out of town for a weekend wedding. Trusted our neighbor with a spare key. When we got home, the walls were repainted. Our rugs were gone. Our bedroom mirror replaced. "I feng shui's it for you," she said, smiling. I thought I was going crazy. Then I found her Instagram posts, touring our house, captioned, "Manifesting this space as mine." When we tried to confront her, she handed us an invoice for $1,200 and said, "You're welcome for the energy cleanse. My name's Carla. I'm 39. My husband Mike is 42. We've been living in the same house in Meade, Washington, just outside Spokane, for 6 years. It's a quiet place. We both work from home most days. We like our routines. We keep to ourselves mostly, but we wave to the neighbors, chat during yard work, exchange Christmas cookies. You get the picture. Everything was normal until 8 months ago, when Tasha moved into the house next door. She was different. Wore robes sometimes. Not like bathrobes. Flowy, colored, beaded things. She once stopped me while I was taking out the trash to tell me my solar chakra was blocked. I laughed, but she didn't. She handed me a little pink crystal and told me to sleep with it under my pillow. I said thanks and threw it in the junk drawer. Tasha talked about energy flow a lot. She had a bunch of wind chimes, even though she lived alone. I once heard her chanting on her back porch during a full moon. She had this thing about spaces and vibes and manifesting your future like it was a part-time job. So when we got invited to Mike's cousin's wedding in Bend, Oregon, and needed someone to keep an eye on the house for the weekend, I wasn't thinking clearly when I agreed to let her do it. She'd offered before. She said she worked from home, didn't mind popping in to water plants and bring in mail. I figured it'd be fine. We left Friday morning. The wedding was Saturday night. We were supposed to drive back Sunday, but we ended up staying one more night to have breakfast with old college friends Monday morning. We got home late Monday afternoon. As soon as I stepped inside, something felt wrong. I mean really wrong. Our house smelled like sage. The air was thick. It looked different. I blinked a few times. "Mike," I called, "did we leave the lights on?" He came in behind me, stopped cold. Our living room walls used to be pale gray. Now they were this weird dusty green. I touched it, it wasn't wallpaper. It was paint. Fresh. The navy blue rug we bought from West Elm 2 years ago? Gone. In its place was this cheap, straw-looking mat that scratched under your feet. I looked around. Some of our framed photos were missing. Others were moved. One had a new frame that wasn't ours. I walked into the kitchen. She'd replaced our magnets. Our wooden cutting board was gone. There was a Himalayan salt lamp on the counter. The spice rack had been rearranged. The mugs were all turned with the handles facing east. I only know that because she labeled them. She'd labeled our own damn dishes. I felt dizzy. I ran upstairs. Our bedroom felt like a hotel room someone had messed with. The antique mirror from my grandmother, the one that sat against the far wall since we moved in, was gone. In its place was this round, modern mirror with gold spokes shooting out like a sun. I hated it instantly. There were lavender bundles tied with ribbon above our headboard. The nightstands had candles and little black stones stacked in triangles. There was a dream catcher above the door. A dream catcher. I just stood there. Couldn't move. That's when I heard her voice. "Tasha." From downstairs. "Hey, you're back." I didn't answer. I just came down the stairs slowly. She was in our dining room, barefoot, holding a cup of tea. Smiling. "Do you love it?" she said. I stared at her. "Love what?" She looked around like she was proud of herself. "I feng shuied your space. You had some serious blockages. But don't worry. I realigned everything. It's flowing beautifully now." I didn't say anything. I couldn't. Mike came in from the garage. He must have gone out to check the side yard. He had this look on his face like he was trying not to lose it. "What the hell did you do?" he said. Tasha blinked. Still smiling. "I improved your space," she said. Then she pulled a manila envelope out of her canvas tote bag and handed it to me. An invoice. $1,200. Line items included, spiritual realignment, $300 color therapy paint and labor, $450 energy cleansing materials, $200 decor enhancements, $250. She even added $0 house sitting fee, waived out of friendship. She looked at me and said, "You're welcome for the energy cleanse." This house was screaming for help. I told her to get out. She actually laughed. She said something like, "You're just overwhelmed by the shift. That's normal. Give it a few days." I told her again to get out of my house. Mike stepped closer. He's not a big guy, but his voice dropped when he said, "Leave. Now." That got her to finally grab her shoes and head toward the door. But before she left, she turned back and said, "I hope you don't undo it. That would be such a waste of growth." We didn't speak. That night, I was too upset to sleep. I started checking everything. Every drawer. Every closet. I opened the guest room closet and felt sick. There used to be a small shoebox tucked in the back. It held letters from my mom, who died in 2017. Some jewelry she left me. A locket I wore when I was little. A bracelet she wore in her wedding. All gone. Just gone. I sat down on the floor and cried. Mike sat with me. He checked the garage. Some of his tools were missing too. The next morning, I came downstairs and found Mike on the couch. He didn't say anything, just handed me his phone. Tasha's Instagram. She had documented the whole thing. There were videos. Posts. Stories. Touring this incredible space I've been manifesting for months, she wrote under a video of our kitchen. "This living room is finally vibing with my soul," she wrote in another, showing our now green walls and that awful rug. People were commenting things like, "So proud of you," and "Claim that space, girl." She replied to one person. "Yes, can't wait till it's officially mine." Another, "I just needed to put my mark on it. It's basically home now." I felt like I couldn't breathe. We called the police. The officer we spoke with said it was a civil dispute. Unless we had clear evidence of theft, they couldn't treat it as a crime. She hadn't broken in. We gave her the key. He said, and I quote, "You invited her in. It's messy, but it's not a criminal matter unless you can prove intent to steal or damage." I felt like screaming. So I got smart. I decided to make my own case. I spent the rest of that day going through Tasha's Instagram post by post, screenshotting everything. Every video. Every comment. Every post where she was clearly in our home, changing things, showing things she had no right to touch. I backed it all up twice, emailed it to myself, and saved it to a USB drive. I also started taking pictures of every room in the house, documenting the changes. Mike and I listed everything we knew was missing or altered: rugs, furniture, artwork, family photos, the mirror, my mom's box. The bracelet alone was worth hundreds, but the memories tied to it were priceless. Mike checked our Ring camera footage. We had one by the front door, but the battery had died 2 days before we left. Of course. She knew. She must have noticed it wasn't working when she came to get the mail. Or maybe she was watching, waiting for a moment like this. We called her that evening. She didn't pick up. I left a message. Calm but serious. I said she had 24 hours to return everything she took or we were going to file a formal report. She responded by blocking both of us on everything. That was it. I snapped. I posted a full story on my own Instagram and Facebook with side-by-side photos, before and after shots of the house, screenshots of her posts, the invoice she gave us, and even a quote from the officer who wouldn't help. I tagged her in it all. Her real name, her account handle. It took off fast. Friends shared it. Then neighbors. By the next day, someone had shared it to a local Spokane Facebook group. Then Reddit. People were angry. Commenters were saying things like, "You should sue," and "This woman needs to be stopped." But then it got worse. One of the comments stood out. A woman named Jenna messaged me privately. She said, "I think she did something like this to my sister in Tacoma." Turns out Tasha had only moved to our neighborhood 8 months ago because she was run out of her last one. Same story. She'd helped a friend redecorate a space she was house-sitting, made changes without permission, and then refused to leave. The owners had to file a restraining order. Jenna sent me a link to a thread from last year with dozens of comments describing similar behavior. Her attaching herself to people, offering spiritual guidance, slowly inserting herself into their lives, and then crossing boundaries. But no one had been able to hold her accountable. That's when I knew, this wasn't just about us. I wanted to take this further. So I made a police report anyway, even without direct proof of theft. I included the Instagram posts where she claimed she was manifesting the house, and where she called it basically home now. I listed my mother's missing jewelry. I printed out the invoice. I also started looking for a lawyer. We found one, Mariah Jensen. Mid-40s, sharp as a blade, and from the first call, she was pissed for us. She said, "You have emotional damages, property damages, and evidence of trespassing and theft." Her social media just made my job easier. She filed a cease and desist against Tasha within 48 hours. We served it to her in person. Mike and I watched from the window as the processor walked up to her door, handed her the envelope, and walked away. Tasha looked stunned. Her smile dropped for the first time since this started. That night, we started getting weird texts. New numbers. Blocked calls. Messages like, "You don't understand what you're doing," and "You're attacking a healer." Someone left a small box of ashes on our porch with a note that said, "Cleanse your karma before it eats you." I brought it straight to the police. They started taking it more seriously after that. Opened a file. Gave us a contact. Still no formal charges, but progress. Meanwhile, our post kept spreading. Then one day, I got a call from a realtor. She said, "Hi, this is going to sound strange, but are you the Carla from that viral post? The one with the energy cleanse neighbor?" I said yes. She told me Tasha had been reaching out to agents in the area, asking about homes on our block. She'd been touring houses nearby. One of them asked how long she'd lived in the neighborhood, and she said, "I'm manifesting a takeover. One house at a time." Then the realtor said something that chilled me. "She was using your address as a reference. Told people she already had a claim on your house. She was acting like our home was hers already." I felt sick. This wasn't just some weird spiritual misunderstanding. Tasha had planned something bigger. And now I had to figure out just how deep her delusion went, and how far I'd have to go to stop it. I stopped sleeping through the night after that. Every sound in the house felt suspicious. Every creak of the floorboards made me sit up straight in bed. Mike started keeping a bat by his nightstand. We both stopped leaving the house at the same time, just in case. We didn't say it out loud, but we were scared she might try to come back. 3 nights later, around 2:30 a.m., I heard something. Not from inside the house, but outside. A soft humming. It took me a second to recognize the tune. It was that weird melody Tasha used to chant on her back porch. Low, steady, repetitive. I got out of bed slowly and looked through the curtains. She was standing in our yard. Right under the pine tree. Wearing that same flowing robe, holding what looked like a small bowl. Smoke rose from it. Sage or incense or something. I whispered, Mike. He was already up. Watching her. Quiet and still. She was blessing our yard. She walked slowly in a circle, scattering something from the bowl, her lips moving silently. Then she stopped and knelt. Placed both hands flat on the ground like she was praying to it. Mike called the police. They arrived 12 minutes later. She was still there when they pulled up, still chanting. Didn't even look surprised. She smiled at the officer and said, I'm preparing the transition. This house chose me. The cops didn't arrest her. Just gave her a warning and told her to leave. But I took a video. The whole thing. Timestamped. Mariah, our lawyer, was livid. She updated the paperwork and pushed for a restraining order. Tasha responded by filing a claim against us, said we were slandering her, damaging her spiritual business, and violating her energetic rights to the space. Her lawyer? A man named Brent who runs a holistic justice practice. His website said he specializes in conflicts of dimensional property alignment. It would have been laughable if it wasn't our life. We gathered more evidence. More screenshots. I spoke with Jenna's sister in Tacoma. Got a sworn statement. Then 2 other women came forward. One from Boise, another from Ashland. Same pattern. Same type of behavior. Charm, invasion, then the claim that the space belonged to her. She was a serial boundary violator. A manipulator dressed in peace signs and patchouli. One of the most helpful pieces of evidence came from a neighbor, Brent, not the lawyer, but a guy 2 houses down. Retired Navy. He had installed a backyard camera after his shed got broken into last year. His camera caught Tasha coming and going from our house all weekend we were gone. She wasn't just watering plants. She was hauling bags. Rolling up rugs. Moving furniture. The timestamp matched her Instagram stories. I cried when I saw that footage. Not out of fear this time, but relief. Proof. Mariah took all of it and pushed hard. Meanwhile, things kept escalating on Tasha's end. One morning we woke up and found she'd left a printed energy invoice on our car windshield, now for $2,400, saying we'd benefited from a dual-phase alignment. She scribbled, payment overdue. Consider this a spiritual lien. But she had no idea what we were about to do. Mariah had a plan. She said it was time we got aggressive. Mariah filed a civil lawsuit. We sued Tasha for damages to personal property, emotional distress, trespassing, harassment, and theft. We backed it with evidence, the photos, the Instagram posts, the witness statements, and, most importantly, the security footage from our neighbor. She tried to fight it. Her lawyer filed motions full of nonsense. Claimed she had unspoken spiritual consent from the property, said we had absorbed her energy contributions, and owed her for energetic labor. The judge didn't even let him finish reading. He shut it down hard. During the hearing, the judge looked over her so-called invoice and said, "Ma'am, this is not how business works. This is not how reality works." Tasha smiled like she knew something no one else did. She didn't flinch. She said, "One day you'll understand the shift I brought to that space." She tried to speak directly to me, even in court. Said things like, "Your energy is much softer now. You should be thanking me." Mike had to put a hand on my arm. I was ready to jump over the table. We won the suit. The judge ordered her to pay us just over $18,000 in damages. Of course, she didn't have the money. But that didn't stop us. Mariah filed to garnish her wages. Then we put a lien on her property. Turns out she didn't even own the place next door, she was renting. But we found out her spiritual coaching business was being run under an LLC. We went after that too. We dragged her fake business through legal mud. Her site got flagged. Her payment processors dropped her. Clients backed out. Her landlord? found out about everything and evicted her. She was gone in 3 weeks. We watched her pack up that robe-covered Subaru and leave in silence. But that wasn't the end. One night, maybe a month later, I got an anonymous letter in the mail. No return address. Inside was a single sheet of paper with one sentence, typed in all caps. "You have no idea what you've broken." I laughed. Out loud. Not because I wasn't scared, because it was pathetic. I kept it. Gave a copy to Mariah. Gave another to the police. They told us she had moved to New Mexico. That was that. Mostly. See, there's one part of this story that still haunts me. Remember my mom's jewelry box? The one that was missing? Well, 2 months after she moved out, I was organizing the crawl space and found it. Tucked way back behind a beam. Hidden. Everything was there. Letters, the locket, the bracelet. I should have felt relief. But I felt something else. She had touched those things. Held them. Moved them. Maybe even wore them. And hid them like a secret. That's the part one never got over. Not the paint. Not the rug. Not the mirror. But the way she treated my memories like they were hers to rearrange. That's when I understood something about revenge. It isn't always loud. It's not always a big moment where the bad guy falls on their face. Sometimes it's quiet. Slow. Paperwork. Courtrooms. Patience. But when you win, and we did win, you make sure they feel it long after they're gone. Tasha lost her clients. Her job. Her home. Her so-called business. Her image. And me? I got my house back. But more importantly, I got my spine back. And now, I never leave a spare key with anyone. Ever again.